Why hello there, Charizard 180 here, and I'm here to bring you another top 10, which is actually a top 10 this time. So with Pokemon Sun and Moon coming out, I realized something rather important while looking at the new protagonists. Where would we be without our protagonists? In Pokemon we have had quite a few, what with the 122 games and counting according to Bulbapedia. So in the spirit of Sun and Moon, I figured I would narrow down who I think the top 10 protagonists in Pokemon are. Now, I'm not gonna lie, the anime is going to affect my opinion on some of these characters, but then again, this is my list and my opinion. If you disagree with what I have to say, that's what the comment section is for. So with all that said and done, welcome to my top 10 protagonists of Pokemon. Gold and Crystal. When I was a kid, I had gotten Pokemon Crystal, and coming off the first gen, imagine my surprise as Professor Oak asked me this important question that changed the world of Pokemon forever. And became a meme that questioned how much sanity Professor Oak still has left in that old noggin of his. That question? Are you a boy or girl? Granted, I was a young boy who just went with the boy option because I had no clue how groundbreaking that actually was, and back then girls were still icky and gross. But for the first time, gamers could choose their genders in Pokemon, though I'm aware that they tried to have this implemented in Gen 1 but couldn't due to constraints. This feature allowed for better immersion into the Pokemon world, which I hold high for any protagonist to have. Also, another bonus for these two is how you can grow through your journey and go back to the old game until you eventually conquer yourself from the old game. That being said, you're probably wondering why exactly I'm putting it at the bottom of my list. Well, we will get to that. Hero/heroine in Pokemon Conquest. Now, to be perfectly honest, I've never played this game. I've just never cared for tactical strategy games like, say, Fire Emblem for that matter. That being said, I am a sucker for any game where an underdog rises up and becomes, for lack of a better term, a badass. Also, I really like the way these two are designed. The armor is just, perfecto. Though, like I said, I've never played the game, which is why it's so low on the list. That doesn't mean I don't recognize a good protagonist though. Dawn and Lucas for Pokemon Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum. Actually, you know what? Scratch Lucas and Platinum from that. I honestly don't care for either that character or that game in terms of design and what they did to Dawn. So, yeah, anyway. Remember when I said the anime would influence the list? This is one of those moments. Otherwise, Gold would be on number 8, and Dawn would be on number 10. But let's stick to the games for now. I really like Dawn's design in the original games, and I love the story that the protagonist has to go through. You're not just trying to save the world, you're trying to save the entire universe from destruction. Though that being said, Gen 3 does a better job of what they're trying to do in the story for these games. It feels like they took out some of the immersion for these games, which is why it's on a lower spot on the list in the first place. But yeah, again, I mostly just like Dawn from the anime, though if not from the games, kinda not doing as well, she would be higher up. It's the anime that saves it, to be quite honest. Hilda and Hilbert from Pokemon Black and White. Now, let me address the elephant in the room first. If these games are based off of America, why the hell are their names that? I mean, Nate and Rosa fit American names so much more, though really that's their only pitfall. What? Why not Nate and Rosa? Well, honestly they are number 11, because they do what I think Gold and Crystal do, but just a little bit less. But wait, I will explain that later on. Just patience. Now then, Nate 1 and Rosa 1 are the first protagonists to not be 10 in the series. They are actually 14. Since I was 15 at the time the games came out, I related so much more to characters at the time. Though honestly this was probably intentional at the time because most original fans of Pokemon were around my age at the time, though they still wanted to appeal to the younger audience. Now, ever since the protagonists have been around that age, trying to appeal to both sides of the Pokemon fanbase, adults and kids. So I guess teenagers were the middle ground that they decided to come up with. That being said, there's only one reason why they're not higher on the list. Brandon and May from Pokemon Emerald. Raise your hand if you thought Brendan's hat was his hair. Let's see, let's start counting. 1, 2, 3, 4. So, everyone. Yeah, that's what I expected. These two have really solid character designs that fit the region that they're traveling through. Also, they have something that no other protagonist has had in the main games. A father that you can actually go out and see. Though, to be honest, it's the region that helps these characters with their character. Puns. Now, Gen 3 is one of my favorite gens because it started off what I call the wonderment of Pokemon. Now, for Gen 1 and 2, the journeys felt a bit isolated, and it didn't really feel like you were traveling through a country, more like a state in the US, and there was very few, how could you put it, interesting, like, exotic places that you would expect from a different world. This changed in Hoenn, and the exploration and locales really felt like you're traveling through such a large exotic place. This did wonders to bond with your character. Though, to be perfectly honest, the entire reason why they placed higher on this list than, say, Hilda and Hilbert is because I loved May in the anime, and I loved her in the games. I'm not ashamed to admit that. Kellen and Kate from Pokemon Rangers Shadows of Almia. In Pokemon Rangers, we were introduced to a new way of interacting with Pokemon, befriending them without the need to capture them, though we were still allowed to bond with a partner Pokemon. While the first Pokemon Rangers did something progressive, allowing some form of romance between the two main protagonists, I prefer the second game more. You're a young boy or girl, and you joined Ranger School to help the Pokemon. The story for our protagonists just flows so smoothly until you eventually become a top ranger trying to stop Pokemon from being turned into mindless slaves. Also, I prefer the design of these two rangers more than the other rangers. That's all I really gotta say. Wes from Pokemon Coliseum. So, all I got for this one is that I'm a sucker for an anti-hero. What else did I add? Oh, I know. Actually, Wes has a bit of an advantage in that you don't play as you as in the other games. You play as Wes. So he actually has a bit of story development. That being said, that and the anti-hero thing only took him so far up the list. Red from Pokemon Red, Blue, Yellow, and Green. Red is number 3 for a really good reason. He is the first one to take us in the wonderful world of Pokemon. He, or rather you, went through Kanto and went on to become the best that there ever was, eventually going on to beat your annoying rival and becoming the champion. Now, in Gen 1 and 2, as I said before, there was an isolationist feel to them, and the characters, well, let's face it, they were technically the same. Just flip the hat around and you got the same dude. It's just that I felt Red did it better, and he did it first. Which is also why I felt the same about Nate and Rosa. But I felt that Gold did it better, which is why they're technically number 11. Also, again, the anime is talking for me. You may be asking, what? How? Red was never in the anime until Pokemon Origins. You would be rather wrong. Red does have a character in the anime, Ash Ketchum. Ash and his adventures are the #1 reason why so many kids got into Pokemon in the first place, and still is for many. You can't ignore that legacy. It's what got us into being Pokemon trainers. It's what got us into the world. Though you may be asking, wait, all this praise about Red, yet he's only #3? Patience, young Padawans. Let me continue on. Pokemon from Pokemon Mystery Dungeon series. You get to play as a Pokemon. I mean, come on. I can be a frickin' Charizard. Yeah. Now, for this spot, I'm including the entire series because it doesn't particularly matter for this case. You get to be a Pokemon. Sure, you can be a trainer who goes around collecting Pokemon to be the #1 Pokemon master. However, why not just be a Pokemon instead? These games gave us a brand new perspective, allowing us to become the Pokemon themselves, and gave us a grand adventure to go along with that perspective. Not to mention the personality quiz at the beginning made it feel like that would be the Pokemon you'd be if you were going to be a Pokemon. I felt so much more in tune with the character than nearly every other Pokemon game I've played. Only one game beats it, and we're about to get to that game. Caleb and Serena from Pokemon X and Y. Whoop, sorry, got that wrong. 1 second, just let me change that. Okay. You from Pokemon X and Y. In the 6th gen, we got something far more important in the evolution of Pokemon than a full 3D experience for the main series. We got trainer customization. Now you can literally put yourself into the game. Yes, I realize it is limited, though let me ask you something. Sure, the game's pacing was off and had so few new Pokemon due to Mega Evolution. That being said, when you first played it, did you honestly notice that? No, because you became one with the character. You became the character and let yourself enjoy the adventure as yourself. That is one of the most important things for any Pokemon game. No, any game. Video games are meant to let you become the character, to immerse yourself in the world and have a fun time as you go through the good and fun times of adventure. To just become one with that world, to get away from it. Pokemon is especially good at that. Adding trainer customization just made that experience much more sweeter. And I'm just that more excited for it in Pokemon Sun and Moon because it's coming back. Who knows what Nintendo added? Well, that is the end of another list. Did you agree with what I said, or did you think I was wrong? Feel free to comment your opinion below. Also, please like and subscribe. Yeah. Small update. The Nuzlocke sadly has to be cancelled for now. Here's the reason why. I'll put up the video of what went wrong above. I've been having many issues with recording the footage, so until I can figure it out, that will have to put on hold. Though I'll be still putting out 2 videos a week, just not a playthrough at the moment. I guess I'll come out with a theory video soon. So, until next time. Damn it, I wish I had a catchphrase. Well, bye.